Well, we just have Penny sing a song. I mean, isn't she like a music person?
I would love it.
So you go with like a song from like Guys and Dolls or something. Isn't that like a play? Or like Fiddler on the Roof?
That's why
I do.
It did not.
I was in Fiddler on the Roof.
Are you serious?
Fade and Paul. And we'll get Penny. She's soft spoken. She gets the high fade on there. So, just like Kid and Play. All right. Hey, welcome to another wonderful episode of the Divinely Uninspired podcast, the podcast from Journey Church, and I'm here with my bestie Penny.
Hi.
Hey, and Jeremy is down there too. Oh, well,
here.
All right, he's there. Not coming in quite as hot as last week with his chicken song. Also, I will say when I was looking up graphics for the episode that is a chicken restaurant. Like it's very popular.
Pollo Campero.
Oh, goodness.
They're actually coming to America. We're going to franchise one.
I did not know.
So they're in Texas and they're in Arkansas and they're looking to expand. So we're going to franchise one up here.
You hear that, Shepherdsville?
Kentucky.
You know what we need?
Campero.
Another chicken restaurant on this exit because we've only got 6 right now.
It is good chicken.
It is. Oh, hang on. Penny's got a sneeze and she told us to wait.
What was
I
that?
didn't say. I just saying I was going to sneeze. It was a silent sneeze.
How do you make yourself stop sneezing? Is there a way?
I usually say watermelon, and it seems to work.
I've never heard that. How do you do it?
Never heard that either.
How do you do it?
I don't. I just sneeze.
Well, I sneeze too suddenly, and everybody in my house hates me, and they get mad. But I'm like, I can't help it. It's just, I don't know. You get
Hot
She
take.
just made herself stop sneezing, so I wondered if she did something.
No, I thought she just had like a little cute sneeze.
Did you say watermelon under your breath?
No, I was trying to. Sometimes if you say a random word, it like tricks your mind into like thinking about something else, and you don't do it. But
So
that was a silent sneeze.
So like if you just said the word fart.
Right? Yeah.
Well,
Like it was just-
hey, we're going to put an explicit warning on this one. He's already dropping fart bombs. Hey, real quick then. Do you know what my kids hate that I'm real good at? The diarrhea song. Do y'all ever sing that? Remember that from John?
I do remember that song.
Yeah. Do you remember the diarrhea song?
Oh, you're sliding in first.
You feel like something burst? Yeah. Well, I just do it for things around the house, and I'm real good at rhyming words, and they get so mad at me because they're girls and they're not classy in any way, but they get mad when Dad's funnier than them. So you saw me at the zoo with my Amazon. So Jeremy, you tell me as a dad, is this funny? There was an animal yesterday at the zoo that was missing from its enclosure, but they had a box from Amazon in there, like they were fixing something. And I said, hey, what biome is that? It's the Amazon Prime Rainforest. And boy, I mean, my child could not have been more embarrassed to be.
I thought it was a funny joke.
I mean, they don't care for
Is
me
the
at
zoo ever closed? Is it open all the time?
It is closed
It's year
at
round.
5.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying though, but like even like on cold day, like I know yesterday was nice, but like on a cold day, like it's still open.
You actually
Yeah.
get to see them a little more if you go out when it's colder. Like they come out a little more.
The snow leopard enjoys it more.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
This heat is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, it was good yesterday because all the schools were in except ours for some reason. I think our school, they decided day after daylight savings, we're just going to take the day, call it a PD day and just stay home because this is absurd.
Yeah.
How are y'all hanging in there after losing that hour of sleep?
I'm fine.
Hitting the big topics today.
Yeah.
It feels good. It felt really nice last night because I didn't get home till late. I forgot what I did last night, but it was still light when I got home, and it just felt nice.
Yeah, but I don't like it in the morning. Like when I'm taking Luke to school and it's dark. Yeah,
It is weird. For this morning, the first time, it was quite dark going to school.
Yeah.
But it was sunny at dinner time, so that was nice.
Yeah, that is nice.
All right, well, so we got the hard topics out of the way early. I don't know if, well, of course y'all don't know. Jeremy's getting ready to go on a trip.
Yeah.
Where are you headed to, Jeremy?
Orlando for a couple days for a conference.
Nice. And what are you flying there?
Well, so normally I'm a Delta or Southwest guy.
Yeah.
And because I got invited to this conference for free, so that's the reason I'm going. And but I have to get a flight down there, and so it was too expensive because it's in that 25-day window, and they start jacking prices up.
Yep.
So I'm flying Spirit for the first time.
Yes. So
Don't be a snob.
If you
it's
hear
great.
this,
I'm
Jeremy,
not a
could use your
snob.
prayers?
I feel like you are.
Okay.
I hear a lot of Spirit
I
nightmares.
fly Delta. Okay. Calm down.
Well,
Take Spirit.
I
It'll be
will
fine.
say Delta is a brand name that I would veer away from because
Yeah,
it sounds
I've had some
expensive.
issues. Yeah.
Well, I mean, other than the issues, I just think, flights have gotten real expensive. But I will say about this time last year, I went on a real tirade on here about Spirit and how they run my life. And since this last podcast was recorded, I flew on them again.
Yeah.
And they totally redeemed themselves. So you know what? It's a 1-to-1 tie now, Spirit. So I take back.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah.
I wouldn't fly it more than 2 hours, so it's perfect. You're going to Orlando. It was easy flight, and
well, I have to fly. Well, this is the thing I'm worried about. So I have to fly. My flight down there, it's late at night. So I fly from Louisville to Fort Lauderdale.
Oh,
and then Fort Lauderdale
connection.
to Orlando.
I know. I've never taken a connection with Spirit.
On my way back, it's a direct flight, which I didn't understand because everything else I saw from them is direct flights.
I think they just slow down and they let you out.
What sounds like just let me parachute out over Orlando.
Well, no, parachute's another $50.
Yeah. Well, they do nickel and dime you. I've learned that because I'm used to Southwest and Delta, like I said, and I usually fly Southwest more. I fly Delta only because of international travel. Like when I go to Guatemala, they're usually only the major airlines. Obviously, usually go international. So like when I'm flying in the country, it's usually Southwest just because they're cheaper and they have good service. But no, I'm not used to this nickel and diamond thing that Spirit's got going on.
Well, so what Spirit does is they charge you almost nothing for the ticket and then anything else you want to make you comfortable. The seats aren't great and, it is what it is. But I went to Orlando and I did not take a carry-on. I have a personal item. Yeah. And I made sure it was within the size of it. I was only gone for a day and a half. So $90 round trip, and I was like, you can't even beat it. $90, and you got a bag, an extra pair of pants, and
they offered me, and this was a unique experience for me. They offered me that I can pay extra to have nobody sit next to me in the seat next to me. They put a spacer there. Have you heard about this?
Yeah, they're out of control over there.
I'm just like, what?
How much did that cost?
I didn't do it because I got an aisle seat. So as long as I get an aisle seat, I don't care. But it would have been $45 extra.
I mean, come on,
to make sure that nobody sits next to me.
If you don't mind me asking, what was the price for the regular?
I think total, of course, I'm within like a 25-day window, but I think total like airfare was like $179 round trip.
I mean, that's, come on.
Yeah.
It's still really reasonable.
What? I was looking at some flights through Southwest to Orlando, and it starts at like $350.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So 100 and whatever plus 45.
Yeah,
but that's 45 each way too.
But Southwest used to do like you used to fly to Orlando for like $99.
I used to fly to a lot of places for $99.
But yeah, they've.
I still think you can get to Chicago pretty cheap with Southwest.
Well, they're a hub.
Well, and you can get to Southwest cheap if you do that want to get away where you're not picky about what time you leave and what time you get back. But that's like just that crapshoot of like you just got to get there when they tell you.
Yeah.
Fart and crapshoot in one episode already. So, so Penny, I was the flight I was on. It left at 6:30 in the morning from Louisville, and it was all people going to Disney because it lands before the parks open.
I will say the only thing about Spirit is they do nickel and dime you, and then there's people who are oblivious to the fact that they can't take like their giant carry-on.
I did. Okay,
there's always fights.
I did pay because I'm gone for 3 days, so to do it in a backpack, and I want to like run and stuff when I'm down there, so my running shoes are. Anyway,
here we go again.
So I did pay an extra $15 to be able to take a carry-on, which I thought was I've never had to do that. Like I've never flown anywhere you had to pay to take a carry-on.
That's insane.
Like, I understand taking like a big bag, like paying for that, but not a carry-on. Right. I had to pay $15 extra to just take a carry-on.
Well, I mean, I'm so cheap. I was like, all right, it's going to be $90, and I'm not paying another cent. And like measured the bag that I was taking.
Yeah,
it's
and
there's no drink service unless you pay for it.
Yeah.
Well, I always just get a drink in the.
I do that too at the airport. But yeah,
I mean. It's an hour and a half flight, so 2 hours.
Do I have to pay to go to the bathroom? Is it like
no, you don't have to pay to use it. You have to pay to flush it and for toilet paper. Heaven help you if that's
so. When you're in Guatemala, not to bring it up, but when you go to like public restrooms there, like you have to pay to go to them, and then you have to pay extra for toilet paper.
No,
so,
most countries actually do that.
Yeah,
when I went to France, you had to do that as well.
Yes, you had to pay. Like now, obviously, like your hotel and stuff like that, you don't have to. But when you're out in public, you usually have to pay to go to the bathroom, and then if you need toilet paper, it's a little extra charge. So.
Well, I like how our world traveler just dropped when I was in France. Like,
when I was in France.
No big deal. No big deal. They like toast and kissing over there. That's all. So, well, I brought that up because Southwest is just going the way of the big guys, and they are charging to check bags, and their business is going to tank, if you ask me. That's So Southwest Airlines has always been the people's champ of airlines. They get you there, and they tube check bags for free, which is... I mean, I've never been anywhere where I've checked 2 bags. That seems insane. But I'm a man, so I don't know. I know ladies have a lot more.
Have they officially
baggage,
moved
so to say.
out of the zones? Like, are they?
Oh, you don't get to pick. Well, you know what? All the places have zones now, but I don't. They're not going to.
It's not like before where you like do the A, B, or like A 1 through 30.
It's not the free for all it used to be.
Yeah. Okay.
No, you have to pick a seat like you do with other airlines.
Gotcha.
They're really taking the only good thing that was going on at Southwest, and they're taking it away. So.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was the good thing about Spirit, was that all the people I was with, they're, zone 1 you can load, zone 2. And no one got up and the lady was like, "Are y'all all zone 5?" I'm like, yes, we were all.
Yeah, nobody's paying for that big cozy seat. You're charging extra.
No, all right, you can all just go. We're like, all right, great.
They offered for me to get the big cozy seats, I guess, which for what I've heard are like basically like regular seats on a normal airplane.
Well, a normal airplane in like 1990.
Yeah.
Like now they've all gotten so small.
Yeah, but like they were like, you can get this big cozy seat and it was literally the exact same price as my whole airline ticket. You know what I'm saying? Like it would literally just be paying double the price just to have that seat. And I was like, nope. As long as I get an aisle, I'm good.
No, my rental car there for a day and a half was more than the flight. So
yeah,
it's crazy. But anyway, Southwest, I thought we'd bring this up because if nothing else, we're here for the consumers.
Yeah.
Do we take a break, Penny? Are you okay?
I thought I was going to sneeze again.
Are you allergic to boba bubble tea?
Maybe.
Have you ever had it?
No.
Okay.
I've had boba tea before, but this is in a can.
What brand is that?
I don't know.
V-Nut?
V-Nut?
That's what it says on top. I'm not sure that that's an actual brand of anything that's approved by the FDA, so I don't. Where'd you pick that up? I've never seen that before.
Gas station.
Yeah, like a good gas station or a bad gas station?
Just a normal gas station.
All right.
Just typical.
Okay. I'm a little leery of a new brand of drinks.
Yeah.
I like one energy drink, and they only have it every 5th or 6th time I go.
What is it?
I like the Rockstar Fruit Punch Zero.
That is so South End.
Well, I'm from the South End, first of all.
Rockstar. I've never even had a Rockstar energy.
It's
drink.
the
Never had a Rockstar before?
No. It's the fruit punch with no sugar, and they almost never have it anywhere. And they have 1,000 monsters, and they have the weird silver cans that you can feel them, and it's like a tap-out shirt from...
I feel like Walmart would have it.
Well, they do, but I'm typically not driving and stopping at a Walmart to get a drink.
Okay. You don't have Walmart Plus? Get it delivered to your house.
To my car as I'm driving somewhere?
No, I'm just saying like you could get some and then have it delivered.
I don't have energy drinks at the house. That's South End. No offense to all these people.
Do you have soft drinks at your house?
We have some Cherry Coke Zeros.
If you do buy energy drinks at the grocery store, though, it's significantly cheaper. Like, I don't know if anybody does that, but like you can buy a 4-pack for what you basically pay for like 1 or 2 at a gas station.
But it's because the convenience of having it now when you want it when you're driving.
Do you feel like energy drinks are like one of those things we all know we shouldn't be drinking?
Yes.
And that's why you don't want to have them at your house. But then like you're at a gas station, you're like, oh, I'm grabbing an energy drink right now.
Well, I think when you're at your house, you don't need the energy. Like when you're...
I don't know. Do you have children?
I mean, yes, but they're at the age where they don't burn down the house and I can just go somewhere not...
Yeah.
Put on your Oculus and leave me alone, I say.
Yes.
I don't ever say that actually, but they would do that if I let them. So
yeah.
But it sounds like great parenting going on over here. So hey, we'll move on. What a transition and a half there. All right.
So Southwest is canceled. We're gonna start canceling people. They're canceled.
I've canceled them a while back.
Listen, Southwest, you had your shot. We'll see in a year when you come crawling back, and I don't know. Boy,
It just seems like a bad idea.
I could use a Rockstar Energy right now. It is a bad idea, but hey, speaking of bad ideas, China.
Oh.
Nope, this is not the right one. China is flying cars, man. That's what they're up to now.
That's actually cool.
Nope.
No?
But all right, well, that's a take from Penny. What do you think, Jeremy? Flying cars?
No.
What?
Okay.
Why?
Now, I would like to say, first of all, let's hear from Penny. She was quick to say cool.
Why do you think that's cool?
I mean, a flying car, that would be awesome.
In what way?
It's definitely like
No,
Back to the Future too.
No, okay. Well, so okay.
We're a bit behind. Wasn't that 2012 or 2015?
2015, yeah.
Yeah.
But we're currently living. Never mind. All right.
Okay. People can't. Okay. So here's my thought. Okay.
Well, I haven't asked Jeremy. What is your thought?
People can't drive on roads that are marked with lines. Why in the world are we going to allow them to fly in the air that's not marked by like? People would not do that. Do you know how many accidents there would be? Think about this. Like, people could not stay on roads with lines, and now we're allowing them to go in the air and have free reign of...
You know who would be really great at a flying car? Me.
Not women.
Oh, just like you were great at a flight simulator that lasted 7 seconds?
Okay. Well, so here's my argument. It's mostly Jeremy's argument, but Penny, all right.
Yeah.
So, me and you, we're pretty tight.
Yeah.
So I can say this to your face. All right.
Thanks.
You get to like a fork in the road, and there's like a house.
Yeah.
In the middle,
uh-huh.
And they have these like subtle little triangles or boulders or stuff, so people don't drive straight into their living room.
Yeah.
Well, what's going to stop a car from doing that when people can't make a turn? They're just right into the second level of a house.
What did they do with Back to the Future?
I don't know, but like, you ever heard the expression "as the crow flies"? Like, like it might take me, like that place might be actually less than a half mile from my house, but it takes me 3 minutes because I have to go on the roads. Where you're gonna have a bunch of idiots being like, "No, we're gonna do as the crow flies," and just try to drive over people's houses and drive over. It's gonna be a disaster.
All right,
there will be lots of problems.
I'm not okay. There would be.
So the other thing with the highway is it's all on the same level. If people are flying, they're gonna fly over, underneath.
Yeah. Yeah, you're gonna have people like trying to jump over their cars.
Yeah, but like, what if they weren't actually doing the driving? What if it were like a self-driving?
Oh, that can stop
flying.
Too. Yeah, these self-driving cars can.
You guys are boring. So boring.
All right, well, you know it's going to be sobering. All the wrecks on the road when they're flying and the cars are crashing. Now, Penny, we've talked personally on this podcast, me and you. Horrifying Jeremy with how little gas we like to leave in our car.
Yeah.
What if you run out of gas and your car's flying?
Okay, that's actually a really good point. That is a good point.
Fall out of the sky.
Right. I mean, that's probably not good for us.
No, it's bad. And if your car's leaking oil and somebody's just outside and just dripping oil, it's a bad plan. But it's China, so hey. Also, I will say they've taken the worst. Think what you will about Tesla and everybody involved, but they have made some pretty cool looking cars in the past, and that's really, I think, their big deal because they made battery cars look nice, and people went, "Oh, it's not so terrible. I could drive one of these cool cars." And then they put out the Cybertruck, and it is the worst looking vehicle since I don't know the HHR, but it's like an old Nintendo 64 truck.
How much do those run?
6 figures.
Oh,
but China, this is their flying car here. They have modeled it after the Cybertruck. So
the one on the left,
the one on the right, the one on the left is a robot.
I was like, what am I looking at?
With a drill.
You thought the one on the left was a car?
No,
and you're going to drive a flying car?
I cannot see it clearly.
Sorry. Okay. Well, the one on the left is also so from the makers of the flying car. China is also going to start making humanoid robots next year, which is. Maybe more concerning than the flying cars. You got any thoughts on humanoid robots? Because they're talking about doing that in this country too. Penny, thoughts?
I don't know. I'm still looking at the fact that thing over there is supposed to fly.
Well, see, so the flight mechanics come out of the trunk.
Oh.
So there's a quick video here, and we'll show you of the X-Ping.
Looks like it'd be kind of heavy.
Well,
that's cute. It's like a little bus. Like a little flying bus. Was that it? That would look like a helicopter.
Well, it's not a DeLorean. It's a.
Oh, okay.
It's this. This is their flying car. So it flew out of the back of that dumb looking
car. So it's
car.
just a helicopter that comes out of the back of your car.
They're it's
like something G.I. Joe would have designed. Remember when G.I. Joe had like those vehicles that had like.
I think Mask more when it's a motorcycle and then it turns into a thing. So, so you're driving your ugly truck and then your uglier.
So the car itself doesn't actually fly.
Well, I mean, it's not what you would say. You wouldn't say like your truck is just going to get hover converted as they say.
What I was expecting was like you're just like you pull out of your driveway and then all of a sudden your car just lifts in the air and then you take off.
There's just no pleasing any of you all. Okay. Well, I'm sorry that we're not there yet. We've skipped over it because again, we've seen how everybody drives and I think it's a terrible idea.
I do think it's a bad idea.
All right. Well, then moving on. What do you think about these robots that are like people and they can do people stuff?
Terminator.
Yeah. I'll stop it in one word. Terminator.
Like we all saw it.
Yeah. I don't think a lot of people saw it, or some people saw it and said, you know what would be a great idea?
Let's just keep doing this.
Let's keep.
When did the original
Matrix? Take your pick. Terminator
come out?
Or Matrix?
Early 90s, the first one. The real good one was like 93, 92, something
I'll be back.
Oh, hang on, guys. Arnold Schwarzenegger walked in the room. Didn't even hear him come in.
Okay. That's enough of him down there.
That's amazing. All right. Well, I'm glad that we're all on the same page because I don't want to look at a robot with these creepy robot faces. And, you think your jobs are hard now if robots are doing the dumb stuff.
I agree.
Oh, speaking of that, I was listening to a podcast. No, this is actually fascinating because it goes into robots.
Oh, this is actually fascinating.
But more, not like your helicopter car. So, like, they were saying that, what's the guy that played on Shazam, Levi Zachary or something like that?
Zachary Levi.
So he started his own production studio. And that's not the interesting part. But he was saying that, like, with AI, like, he's already seen, like, the technology where like with AI, like if you're watching a movie, like in the future, you could like get to the end of the movie and be like, I don't like that. And and change it like on the spot. And then like it would play back like because it's like in like computer generated graphics or AI or whatever, like replay the movie. And they were saying like they're already like going out these studios and buying like the rights to like old actors that like basically like you could see like James Dean in a modern movie or like Charlie Chaplin.
Thank goodness, because
like,
I just want more Charlie Chaplin.
Yeah, but it was interesting. Like they were saying that
it's
like
horrific,
or like they were saying like you could actually like the technology could exist one day that like. Hey, let's say you wanted to see Batman fight Wolverine like in a movie instead of like Batman versus Superman. Like you could do the AI and like do all that stuff.
I don't want it. Generative AI also. Well, that wasn't the topic, but I hate it. I hate everything about it except this video where the cats work at McDonald's. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's my new jam. But yeah, I don't care for any of the stuff where people don't have to make it.
Yeah.
And I think that is what they all went on strike for a few years ago because you don't have
That's actually really cute.
But see, you watch this and you go, well, those cats aren't really working at McDonald's because that's not a real thing. But what if James Dean was there?
Yeah.
So we're taking a pause and we're watching cats working at McDonald's.
It's cute.
And it's not unrealistic. It's clearly fake, but it's not bad to just type this into a computer and make this.
Okay.
You know what's really interesting is how they make McDonald's more than the cats. Like I just saw them dip that burger in that juice to make it look like it was fresh.
You're not wrong. If McDonald's, the food looks better than
Oh, that's cute. That actually is kind of cute.
Thanks.
It's good.
He's riding home.
Yeah.
And that cat got a job. He was going home and buying his own steak.
It's gonna be some furry fries.
Ew.
We have really this is becoming it's becoming the three of us in an old folks home just excited just watching things together. All right, we're going to stop that. But anyway, I don't like the generative AI. What do you think about that, Jeremy? If one day they're just like, give me a sermon about the Beatitudes, about 35 minutes long, and
well, they already do that. I mean, there's software out there.
No, but then the video is just somebody else. Somebody's up there talking.
I don't know.
How do you trust anything if that's going on?
Yeah. How do you trust anything?
Do you think it will help build actual face-to-face community and communication when you can't trust anything that's on television?
Well, you can't already trust anything that's on television and the internet.
Oh man. Well, conspiracy. Why not?
It's just because that's not always accurate.
Well, I don't mean that the people are lying to your face. That's been around for a while. I mean that it's a video of Jeremy talking on a video and you're like, that doesn't sound like something Jeremy would say.
Yeah. I don't know.
Because it was nice about Penny. So
yeah.
Great.
Well, all right. So I tried to transition smoothly earlier. You know what really does need community?
What's that?
This poor sunfish that got lonely.
I know. I saw this.
Did you? Okay. There's a sunfish.
I felt really bad for it.
That was in its tank by itself, and it missed all the people that used to come view it. So
they're renovating this.
Penny knows, right?
Yeah, they're renovating this aquarium. And
how do they know it got sad?
Yeah.
How did they actually know it got sad?
It wasn't eating, and it wasn't like swimming around as much. So they thought it was depressed. So they were renovating. They were renovating this aquarium. I think this might be like China, actually.
It's in Shimonoseki.
Okay, well, anyway, so this sunfish wasn't eating.
Koche.
He wasn't like interacting as much as he normally does. So they because they were renovating that area, they put up these like posters of people and
it cheered it up.
It
turned it right around.
Or maybe like it was missing the other sunfish. I can't remember.
It was missing being in there by itself, and then also no one was able to view it because they're redoing that area of the aquarium. So instead of
I'll be real, I would love to see a sunfish like in real life. That would be pretty awesome.
Where's
this at?
We saw when we went to the beach.
Shimonoseki.
They washed up.
It's
on
in
the shore.
Japan.
That's not the same thing.
There's a sunfish.
See a dead sunfish.
Why would you want to see this? Are you one of those people who like to snorkel and?
Yeah, I do like to snorkel. But they're really, really big. Like they can get very big. It would just be cool to see it.
Can I ask you what is the thrill of doing that? Because that's something that I'm always like, this is nice, but I can see pictures and video
of snorkeling,
of like underwater fish, people touching sharks.
I don't know. I guess because it's not like a normal thing you would see, Paul. It's interesting to look at different things that you would never see before.
Yeah, but you're not under the water. You're in their environment.
That's what I'm asking. What is the appeal of it being under the water? I just don't understand it. I'm not upset with you all.
I think it's the excitement of it and seeing something in real life is just cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
like I think that the sunfish is actually the largest bonefish ever. Okay. Possibly.
What is a bonefish?
So. Like just
bonefish grill.
Well, that's the first thing I thought.
That's all they serve is sunfish there. It's all just.
They're
sunfish.
massive. They're so big. They can get very, very big. Okay, this is dumb. So let's
I'm actually fascinated. You seem to know a lot about this.
I know. Well, I think they're really interesting fish.
The sunfish looks like it lost half of its body.
Well, it's turned sideways. It's facing left. It's not facing forward. Is this TV just need to be pulled?
No, that's the sunfish. That's what it looks like.
On the left side of its body, and then on the right side it looks the same.
No, but it looks like it should still have like a tail.
Yeah,
like a regular fish.
I think it's turned this way.
No, that is how they look.
That is literally how they look.
No, there's no tail.
Well, these things are stupid. I'm glad they're sad.
Yeah, no, that's what it looks like.
It's a dumb looking fish. Is that why you want to see it? To go look at you dumb looking fish?
Yeah, see, like look at the tank. Like that back fin. That's the end of its body.
How does that thing even swim? That's absurd. I don't like that fish at all. I was real sad for it now. I don't even care.
That's what I'm saying. It looks like it's lost half of its body.
That's a dumb looking animal. All right. Well,
I think they're cool.
Well, it's like just
you go sunfish. It's awesome.
Get on, Mambo. All right. Well, speaking of things that look dumb, do you all believe in doppelgangers?
Yes.
Oh, well, these people say it's not a real thing. So why do you believe in that? I'll go with Penny again because she was very...
Because I've seen TikToks about it. There's all kinds
of... Well, your mic is off. All right. Jeremy, what do you think about that?
I believe in it because I have legitimately had people walk up to me and start conversations with me thinking that I was somebody else.
Yeah.
And then like at least 2 or 3 times and in different parts of the city. And so like
in Louisville or Shepherdsville.
Yeah, like in Shepherdsville. Like I've had people walk up to me at the gym before thinking I was somebody else or like... other places. So, and I'm not saying like I'm unique. I think that everybody kind of has people they kind of look like. And I also think like if you think about 8 billion people, and I know we're all different, but we all kind of come from like the same genes and all that. So like, it's like at the same time, like there's probably a good chance somebody looks just like you out there.
Yeah.
There's only so many faces that can exist.
I will say I was on I was thinking about that as well. I thought that does seem like a true thing. This website was really bumming me out because it said the doppelganger is from the German. It means double goer or double walker, a person who looks exactly like you, and that there's only a 1 in 1 trillion chance of something like that happening. And well, that's not exactly what we're looking for. But
I think when I think of a doppelganger, I think it's like I've seen people that I thought were other people, and then the closer you get, you realize it's not them. Like there's little features that are different. But I think for a doppelganger to me is like if I was just like sitting across the room from somebody and be like, I think that's, you know, like that's what I think of more than like you look at somebody and it's like literally like a carbon copy of you.
Well,
you know.
Okay, well, first of all, you kind of look like every other guy. Like you have your beard and your bald head, so it's just kind of like
I kind of like every other guy.
You're a creative character.
I mean, like I feel like
default.
It's
very
common to have a beard.
Am I that little thing like from when you were a kid and you put the magnet and you
Willy?
Is that what I am? I'm just bald. You just draw a beard on me. Okay. Good.
So for people to be like, I think I might know you. Yeah, I could see that with you.
Yeah.
Well, I had a fun game and I had an app that I was going to see. Oh, it is going to do it. All right.
I think people might be like, hey, were you in that production of Fiddler on the Roof from like 1998?
You're so stupid. Oh goodness! Oh, Paul, I hope you have somewhere going with this.
Well, I had somewhere to go, and now it turns out to pay for the app. I had an app to download to see who we look like, who our celebrity doppelgangers were.
Did I see you in France one time?
It might have been what year. That's what they'll say. So, Penny, who do you think, if you had to guess, who would people think you look like? We'll just do it that way.
I don't know.
Okay.
A doppelganger, like a celebrity?
Yeah.
Oh, I have no idea.
What do you think?
I don't think I look like anybody.
Well, you said Jeremy looks like somebody.
She said like every other guy. Like it's not even like somebody famous. Just
that's why he relates to people.
He's like a random person.
He's every man USA. This guy.
I mean, they're doing that right now with Timothy Chalamet and
Jeremy.
No, he's irrelevant at the moment. Jason Kelsey. They did a whole thing about it. Like
I saw like the old picture of Chalamet that they said from like the 1800s or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That celebrities through the years, like famous people, they're the same people that regenerate. Yeah.
Well, who do you think you look like, Jeremy?
I don't know who I look like. I did have somebody, I can't remember. It was an actor, somebody from like Prison Break or something like that one time. Mm-hmm. But that's before I had a beard. And then I don't know. I don't know who I'd.
We need that app.
Hemsworth. That's one of them. That's
the one with hair.
Penny said no with her attitude. So,
who do you think you look like down there, Penny?
Who do I think you look like?
Like you.
Oh. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think I look like anybody. I look like me.
Jeremy looks like everybody. Penny looks like nobody.
Yeah.
I was going to say Roseanne Barr.
What? Come on. Just now that you say it, I would have never thought it before.
It's like a dead ringer.
What?
I actually find that so funny. Okay, that's stupid.
It's real stupid. I had some dumb high school girl, and it delighted my children to no end at the zoo during Boo at the Zoo, and they came up to me and said that I looked like who's the chef guy that yells and swears?
Gordon Ramsay. Yeah, I can see that.
Are you being Gordon Ramsay for Halloween? And I was like, get out of here, little hospital.
Actually,
there's your $1 million AI idea is to create an app where like you take a picture of yourself and then it shows you who you look like.
It already
Are
exists.
you talking about this thing that I was just?
Where have you been? No.
Yeah, no, let's see it. Let's see who it says. Let's see who it says. If Roseanne Barr comes up, it's going to be the greatest moment in history.
Well, I sure didn't know that my phone had a flash on it. That's wild. All right.
I hope it comes up.
Scan. All right, we're hitting scan.
Yes, let's see.
Well, we got to watch an ad first, so hang on. Hold up.
Is that a man? Is that a man?
It's a TikTok video.
Oh,
it's
okay.
an ad. We're watching an ad.
Like
That's right. We're watching an ad with us. So here, hang on. All right. Well, after what seemed like forever because of the ads on this ridiculous app.
So we know who we look like.
Finally,
according to this AI app.
Yep. Oh man, there's gonna be a fight. All right. I'll start with myself, and so on the celebrity lookalike app, I got Benedict Cumberbatch, which I can't even.
Like Doctor Strange?
Like a fat Benedict Cumberbatch, I guess. I don't know.
Does it not factor in like hair color and everything?
It didn't factor in anything in the picture it took of me, I guess, because I look nothing like Benedict Cumberbatch. But, you know what? I take it back. I got a 37% similarity, and that was the closest one, I guess. I guess I'm 1 in a million, just like...
1 in a million, yeah.
Now, Penny did not get Roseanne Barr as our leader, so graciously
kindly
offered up. She did get an 87% match for Angelina Jolie.
You don't have dark hair.
Well, if that's not the only...
It's irrelevant.
It's the bone structure.
I feel like your hair is like a big part of your like whole appearance, right?
Well, she does have very big hair. I would have said Dolly Parton if I was guessing.
Big hair. So you got Angelina Jolie. So
I got it. All right.
You're drinking blood now?
She's
Billy Bob?
She wears it, not drinks it, and that was years ago. All right. And then we will never hear the end of this, Penny.
I don't even want to know. What's the percentage on it?
Just 45, but...
Oh, no.
Let me see this one.
Chris Evans.
There we go.
No.
Yeah. For the record, do they have the same color hair? Because I noticed one of them.
He also doesn't have a beard.
Big dark hair.
Does he have a beard?
He does.
Oh, yep, that's me, Chris Evans.
Also, the funniest picture of Jeremy I've ever seen. Like
Captain America.
What was his face that you're making for that? I don't understand.
Captain America over here.
46%. So Penny is twice as much Angelina Jolie as you are Chris Evans, but
I'm still Captain America.
Hey, well, I mean, it's fine. All right, what up? So I guess I'm going to go ahead and say doppelgangers don't exist because according to this app, that was the biggest load of crap.
That's like that's taking celebrities. Like if you just did like if it would like tap into like Facebook and like you know what I'm saying or like Instagram.
That's a good idea.
And found like just a regular person, not like a celebrity.
Yeah.
No, I think I'm going to keep mine.
All right. Well, so they do say that looks are in the eye of the beholder, and this last thing before we get into it, the eye of this beholder is a tooth. Did you see this?
Huh.
What?
Where they are restoring people's eyesight by putting teeth in your eye.
There you go.
And I will warn you as we get to... So what they're doing is they're putting tiny lenses in people's teeth who can't see and putting that into your eye hole or whatever the technical term for it is because you need something tough that will not be crushed by the pressure in there, but something from the person's body so it doesn't reject it as easily. Mm-hmm. And so this is a big thing that's going on, and you get
goodness gracious,
almost seamless. Which
Wow.
So for the record, it's horrific. It looks it's so scary. These poor people in their eyes, but they can see. So you take the good with the bad. I would just wear some sunglasses. I'd much rather have sunglasses than not be able to see. These people have all lost their eyesight, for the record, in terrible ways, it seems like. So, I thought there were more pictures. I did not pull up the one with all the pictures, but it is the most frightening.
Yeah.
Kind of what?
Could you get like not like a fake eye, like a 3D printed fake eye that you wear over top of that?
Well, I would think. I think this is like step one for something that's going to be awesome in the future.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a fascinating.
So it's a lens. So it's
like a camera lens for the most part.
That goes to your brain.
It goes to wherever your eye hooks into. I'm not a scientist. I guess that would make sense. Here. That would make sense. So here you go.
So this is like Terminator. Oh, wow. Look at that one.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's clear it's not your factory eye. It's aftermarket, but it's
no, that's definitely after something.
I would put some sunglasses on for sure. But so if you had to say, I'm only going to be able to see out of one eye, and I know some people are already having that issue over here.
Just like, well,
would you rather have your beautiful Angelina Jolie eye, Penny, or would you rather have a tooth in there?
I would never put a tooth in my eye.
And somewhere Terry is going, phew.
But you could see.
Yeah, so this is almost like
what about that one? The top left.
I was having a hard time looking at it, to be honest.
It went away.
The plot of several of the Saw movies were: would you rather have your vanity or have your life? So it looks like you would rather have your looks than to be able to look.
Oh, that one. The one with the giant round.
Well, this is just a YouTube.
Okay. I thought that was actually something they had that done. I was like, I think
that one I would almost rather have because it's so insane. You look like the bad guy from Roger Rabbit.
Yeah. Where his eyes pop out.
Yeah. Put him in the...
That's the first thing I thought about.
Drop him right in the stuff, in the juice. Yeah. All right. So what do you think, Jeremy? Would you rather see...
Oh, I like that one where they just put the camera in your juice. You look out your mouth.
Yeah.
I would rather do that, like have a fake eyeball and just have a camera in my tooth.
But it would just see Post Malone Oreos coming at me all day long. It'd be terrible. So, all right. I think I would rather be able to see, and I'm sorry to my loved ones. Man, you know what you don't want to do is Google anything and then go to images. It's real rough. I just
can't believe that's actually a thing.
Well, it is.
My daughter told me this last couple weeks that she was like, I was on Reddit looking for something. And I was like, no, don't do that.
Yeah, don't get on Reddit.
Let's just stay off of Reddit entirely because you're 9. And
it was your 9-year-old. Yeah. Makes it worse.
Oh, well, because she was... Does anybody know what Marie Curie looks like real quick before we get into the big deal?
No.
You know who doesn't? Anybody. Because Marie Curie is the most regular, plain-looking person, and we're supposed to make a model of her. And her face is like, if you just said tired old woman and like, there's no facial feature. She's got nothing.
She's got exposed.
Yeah. I said you could we have to make a 2-liter bottle doll of this person.
Yeah.
And I was like, you could put a glow stick in it.
Right. Exactly.
My wife said no, because our teacher doesn't have that kind of sense of humor. But Penny had a great topic today, I thought. And, if you don't think any of those were great, you're wrong. Do you remember exactly what it was, or would you like to?
Go ahead. You can go ahead and read it.
There you go.
I can't read that.
Okay, well, put your teeth on it and see if you can. All right, so I reached out to our group, the 2 that I'm here talking to, about, what we could talk about because, I came up with the tooth thing, and we see how that went. So we've been talking about discipleship, especially at our last meeting, and that's what it's about. So Penny thought it would be a good idea to talk about discipleship in the 21st century for people who do not work at a church. So
I think.
Well, I was in the middle of it, but it's fine. You could go ahead. Take over.
The whole point was that we grew up in a church where discipleship was like, we thought it was knocking on people's doors and telling them about your Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Like that's what we assumed that discipleship was, but it's not.
You handed out tracts when you were a kid? Did your church do that?
So
did your church do that?
No.
Do you know what we did? We did. They tried to do it in college, and it was like, this is not. Yeah. No, this is bad. It's not effective.
And I think at church it's a lot easier because discipleship is what we do, and for every other person, it's like, what are we expecting of them? And is it a sin to not tell others about Jesus? I mean, really, it was a command from him. So,
yeah. Okay. I was going to say we're looking at Jeremy.
I was going to say I think they're 2 different issues.
All right.
But I think the hard part about discipleship. So I mean, then this all got stemmed from we've started a staff discussion about how we make disciples, what discipleship looks like. And I think when I was thinking about it, like we can study the Bible and it's going to be good and there's going to get lots of good stuff we can discuss. But I think what's hard about it in our culture is we don't have a model for it, whereas in their culture they would have. So like even like when Jesus called his first disciples, they were already disciples of somebody else. Does that make sense? Like they were already following John the Baptist. And in their culture, like one of the highest honors was to be the disciple of a rabbi. Like you like wanted your kids to like be that. Does that make sense? And so like it was a regular model already in place of what it looks like to basically abandon everything to follow a person. And in our culture, that just doesn't, like, even though we've talked about it and we've grown up in church and all that stuff, that idea doesn't totally exist. So it's hard to sometimes formulate like what biblical discipleship was, especially with Jesus, to how it applies to our culture. Not that we can't get there, but it's a hard discussion. Does that make sense? Like, I mean, these people literally abandoned everything to go and follow whoever their rabbi or teacher was. And that would have been their understanding of discipleship, but that also wasn't uncommon then. Like, and this is going to sound really bad. Like, if you took the biblical idea of discipleship, of someone abandoning everything, family, friends, workplace, all of that stuff, to go follow somebody, to be a disciple, like the best probably modern example of that we probably have would be like in cults, where like people like basically like walk away from everything to follow this person. And obviously I'm not trying to take what Jesus did and compare it to cults. I'm just saying that's the closest model we would have to what actually happened in the first century. So the thing we have to do is then say, okay, within our culture, how do we make that work? You know, how do we actually do that in a way that's helpful to people, but also showing them who Jesus was, without saying like, basically you have to give up everything and just go and like follow this person.
Okay, so how do we do that?
I don't know. I think that's part of, I think that's the whole thing. That's why it's a hard discussion. Is I think that, and I think discipleship looks differently. I think that, you know, one of the things we talked about is it's not a one size fits all for everybody. I think following Jesus is like, Jesus is very clear what it looks like to follow him as far as like what he taught and the way he treated people and all that. I think it's much more difficult to figure out what that looks like for individuals. And I think that, you know, even within, you know, the world we find ourselves in, that's going to look different in different places in the world, depending on cultural norms and all of those type of things. So,
well, we also live like in a time where Jesus' name is at least out there. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's not like we're telling people who don't know who he is.
Yeah.
So that makes it a little bit even harder discussion to have with someone.
Well, and I think the whole point of making a disciple is to try to find somebody to follow Jesus. And I think that's where I was saying the hard part is, well, what does that look like? Because following Jesus in the first century, specifically what we see in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, is literally you just follow that person. Like right. You go wherever they go, you do whatever they do. And I think we can do that as far as like trying to do what Jesus did and emulate him in our lifestyles. But what does that actually look like, you know?
Right. So discipleship, the way that I see it, it's through our actions, through our words, how we treat others. It's just the idea of living more like Christ, right? So, yeah. But should we be doing a more direct approach? Like, is that an actual thing? Like, should we be like, have you heard about Jesus? Like, is that an actual thing people should still be doing?
Well, I think that goes into, again, cultural norms of, so for example, where we live, okay, everybody's heard about Jesus. We live in the Bible Belt. Like now there are parts in America, it would be hard to find, but in the Northeast and specifically like Northeast and also in like the Northwest, where church is not the norm in those cultures necessarily. Like Northeast is probably more like mainline and, you know, there are churches there and they know about church, but they just don't go. The Northwest is more progressive, so it's a little different. But where we live, so for our context, it's hard to find somebody that doesn't know about Jesus. It's just hard. The hard part is that they've probably been given a bad version of Jesus or like they've had church hurt. Does that make sense? And so overcoming that stuff is probably the bigger obstacle than actually like trying to like proselytize somebody for Jesus, if that makes sense. And I'm not saying they don't exist. I'm just saying that's probably few and far in between, that you're going to find somebody that doesn't at least know like what Jesus was about.
Well, I think what Penny, part of what she was getting at, because it was in the text, was, so I would say, and then this is just America-centric, but most people have heard the name Jesus, and you get kind of a little thing when you hear about him, like you hear Buddha and you hear whatever. People have heard these things, but when people don't, you don't really run across so many people anymore who are just like, do you have a minute? I could talk to you about Jesus. And I mean, what, like, I think that is more of what she was getting at. Like, is that at all a good idea? Because to me, it seems having no relationship with someone and just leading off hot with that seems like the best way to go, lead them the other way.
Yeah, I think that there's two parts to that. So I think the first one is most people that have success in what I would say is, and again, we're also talking about evangelism and discipleship. Those are two different things.
Yes. Okay.
So like evangelism is telling somebody, getting somebody saved. Discipleship is now, I mean, it kind of goes into my sermon on Sunday a little bit. Like, I think a lot of us are very comfortable with calling Jesus our savior because somebody can save you and then walk away. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, oh, you saved me. Mm-hmm. Now I'm good. But then when you refer to Jesus as like a king, or like for the first century is like our rabbi, our teacher, the person we now are following and listening to, that becomes a much harder conversation. Does that make sense? So I think that's why I say it's kind of two different conversations. Because evangelism is not necessarily discipleship, and discipleship is not necessarily evangelism. Because we can evangelize people, tell them about Jesus, do the awkward, hey, you got a minute? I want to tell you about my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And I don't think we should not do that. I just don't know the success rate of that versus building a relationship with somebody. I would guess it's
much lower.
Yes. But then the flip side of just because we get somebody to, and I think this is going to be a much bigger conversation.
Well, good. We got time.
I think that the hard part is, so we all grew up in church. Mm-hmm. Okay. So growing up in church, what we would have said a good disciple is somebody that's at church Sunday night, Wednesday night, volunteer meetings on a board or an eldership or a deacon, and they're giving 10% of their income, if not more, to the church.
And don't forget revival.
Yeah, that would make a good disciple. But what we've learned is that actually didn't necessarily translate to actually making a good disciple. Like for example, so this goes into money, even though it's not discipleship. So Jesus talks a lot about money, okay? And like your treasure on earth and all that stuff. Jesus doesn't actually talk a lot about giving to the church, okay? Because the church as we know it now would have been a foreign concept in their first century world. Not that I'm saying Jesus didn't have the foreshadowing that like we would eventually have what we have now, but does that make sense? Like it wouldn't have been... Mm-hmm. But yet, like, I mean, there's even churches like recently, and again, I'll probably get in trouble because people will probably put pieces together, like where it's like their whole thing now is about this generosity of their people. And like they use language to make it sound like we're talking about, discipleship, but actually what we're talking about is building big buildings, right? And I think that's where people get like, okay, like we're using language that sounds good and pure, but then when you actually listen to what they're saying, like it's not that it's not good and pure, like that they're not trying to grow the church or whatever, but it seems funny that that's what we're calling discipleship versus actually like getting people to actually like try to reach people through not just evangelism, but actually following Jesus by the way that they live,
Yeah.
So, and like I said, that's always the hard part of the conversation because we grew up with a model of this is what a disciple looks like. And I'm not sure the model we grew up with, what a disciple looks like, is actually a good model. So
yeah, well, I mean, even as a child, that's when I moved away from the kind of church I grew up with. That was kind of the thing, was like, this doesn't seem great. Like this seems like a rough go of it, and I didn't know how to like put it into words or anything like that. But it was just, I mean, it was almost the exact same experience you had of growing up. Of this is what it looks like to be a good follower. And I'm like, like, isn't a good Christian someone who tries to emulate Christ, not that does all these things that necessarily.
Yeah, I think that's the hard. I think that's where it gets tricky. Like, I think all of the things I said are good. I think going to church is good.
Yeah.
I think giving to your church is good. I think all of those things are good. And I think that those are in some ways part of discipleship because Jesus wants us to be a part of the body. And Jesus wants our possessions and our money not to have control over us and all that. Like, that's all good part of the conversation. But I don't think if that is in and of itself the end goal of discipleship. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And I think we grew up in a model where it's like, hey, if this person's at church all the time and they're teaching Sunday school, they're probably a really good Christian. And then like, then you find out actually they treat people really terribly at work, or
news story after news story coming out.
Or they're racist, or they're, there's just stuff that's like, okay, we thought this, but then, okay, that actually probably isn't the best model. So that's where I think too, it goes back to the question of what are we making? We want to make disciples, but disciples of what? And I think if we can say, okay, well, obviously the answer in a church is we're disciples of Jesus. Okay, well, and I think that's the value of what we're doing now as a staff is, but what does that actually look like to be a disciple? Because if I just want to make somebody come to church or give money or, even proselytizing, like save a bunch of people, like, yeah, those are all parts of it, but that's not in and of itself the same thing. And I think that it goes back to my, kind of opening point is like, in first century, if you're going to be somebody's disciple, like you're literally abandoning everything and following that person. And I'm not saying that that's wrong and that can't work in our culture. We just got to figure out what that looks like, because at the end of the day, we still have jobs and families and stuff that we have to, the early disciples of Jesus, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I mean, number one, they were teenagers. Like they thought John was like a kid, like literally a kid. They thought Peter was like an old man because he might have been like 20. You know what I'm saying? Like, and all that stuff. So these were also like people that didn't have a lot of stuff like that they, we see these guys leave their fishing jobs. Well, they were working for their dad. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like that they had like this career where they got to provide for their family and kids and all this stuff. Right. So it was easier for them. And I'm just saying that's like the bigger context of the picture is like we use that language of like drop your nets and follow Jesus. Okay, well, that's easy when you're 17. Mm-hmm. That's much easier when you have kids and responsibilities. And I'm not saying you don't still do that. I'm just saying, what does that look like to drop your nets at 40 versus being a 17-year-old, that doesn't have anything, responsibilities or anything like that. So does that all make sense? Any follow-up questions?
Yeah. No.
You are both just like looking down, like, so I tried to.
No.
I was taking it in.
Yeah.
I was just taking it in. It's a little bit more complex than I guess that it seems to be. Like, it's not just about, like, I guess I do see the difference between discipleship and evangelism. Like, it's different.
Yeah.
So.
And I think the problem is a lot of us stop at evangelism and think we did discipleship.
Yes.
And we actually haven't. And at the same time, a lot of people, like, are disciples. Like, they know the Bible, like, and they can quote scriptures to you all day long. And so, like, what we would view as, like, this really, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, foundational person. And at the same time, they haven't brought anybody to Christ in years, if ever. Does that make sense? And so that's where it's like that hard, we've got to figure out what that looks like in a healthy way.
Yeah.
And then again, it's harder even in our context because everybody's heard about Jesus. And most people are not opposed to talking about Jesus, I found. They're opposed to church and they're opposed to like what they think that's going to look like and require of them. And some people don't want to have the conversation because they think if I start following Jesus, that means I got to give up all my Sundays and I got to give up my Wednesday because that's what we grew up with.
Yes.
Like that's what we thought. Like that was normal to us three around the table. That wasn't normal to all my friends of like, you go to church 3 times a week. Like, yeah, but that's what somebody might think that, oh, if I become a follower of Jesus, that's what I've got to do. Like I've got to be, Well,
I think growing up, like evangelism was what you had to do. Like that was your end goal was to bring people to Christ. Like that was always what was taught. And discipleship, like your discipleship was your set of rules. Like this is what you had to do in order to be like a Christian. Like I don't even think like discipleship was even used growing up. It was always evangelism.
Yeah.
So it's just hard to get that out of my head.
I think the part where you struggle with, I think we all do, is so even in your language you use. So we think of it as like evangelism is how I got saved.
Yes.
Discipleship is how I stay saved. And that's the hard part. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, and that's not actually in the Bible. Does it make sense? But that's what we think is like, okay, I've gotten saved. So now I've got to prove to Jesus that I've actually earned my salvation, my grace. And that like, so I'm not saying that we shouldn't still try to do things and it doesn't change our life, but to try to earn your grace through discipleship, you're defeating what grace is actually supposed to be, if that makes sense. And I think that's the place people get stuck in is like, Paul talks about like working out his salvation. Okay. But he doesn't say working for my salvation. What he's doing is he's working out because I know what God's done for me, then I feel like I should do these things with my life so that I have, but he never like says I have to do these things so that God loves me. Does that make sense? And I think that's like where people get messed up is it's that idea of like, I've got to do these things now so that like I can prove that I've earned my spot. And that's actually counter to the gospel.
Well, I think in the situation I was, it seemed like most of it was treated like some kind of, it was like a soul capture the flag kind of thing where you just like went out and you tried to find somebody, you bring them back in.
Yeah.
They're saved, move on. Don't even have to talk to that person ever again. Once you're like, one for us. Yeah. Next. And you don't have any relationship with that person. No. You don't have any relationship with God. You just, okay, another point. And then, and they would bring up, there's parables and stuff like that they would say, well, it's just because like this. And if you don't, if you get saved and you don't bring anybody else, that doesn't really count, like that kind of thing. Yeah. So it was like a game that you really couldn't win.
Yeah.
So it's...
And I think that's the hard part, is like the whole conversation goes back to, the gospel, and that sounds very churchy, but all it translates is good news. But like the good news that we were given causes a lot of anxiety. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, if it causes anxiety in us, that's probably not actually good news. Yeah. That's why we got to figure this out. Because if it's causing us to be anxious about like all this, and then okay, maybe that but that was the whole thing, is it works against it when you live. Now, I believe that, like as Paul talks about, that like once you understand what God's done for you and what Jesus has done for you, I think that leads you down a path of like, I've got to get these things figured out. And if it is good news, then you want to share that with other people, but you don't want to share it with other people like they're a project, so you can check it off your list. Mm-hmm. You want to share it with people because of what God's done for you. And I think historically the church has done a bad job, not just us, but like the church as a whole has done a bad job of communicating that.
Well, I mean, if you coming to know Christ just fills you with anxiety and dread, it's hard to share that and have someone else go, that sounds great.
Yeah.
Because yuck, that's, I mean, it's like, we've got enough going on. We don't need this on top of that. So
yeah. And I think it also is like that people think that to be saved, they've got to get all their stuff figured out. And I always tell people that's the beginning of your journey. Mm-hmm. Like that's just, discipleship is, and that's where we got to define it. So, I mean, even the word discipleship can mean so many different things. So discipleship is for you personally, you're becoming a disciple of Jesus. But discipleship is also what we're supposed to do for other people to show them how to become followers of Jesus. So it's multifaceted even in its language. So, yeah.
Yep, it's good.
Any thoughts?
We had a lot of thoughts.
Yeah.
It was a good discussion.
Yeah, that was, I think you got to the heart of what was being asked, and I'm glad that I didn't have to come up with a big topic question for that. It came through, and I said, oh, yay, Penny, even though she got booed in the thread.
She did not. It was not booed. It was boring.
No, that's
boring.
Oh, goodness. Turn his mic off.
Well, all right, so I guess we're going to wrap this up this week, but hey, we have announced some Easter stuff. So we are having four services this Easter. Mm-hmm. All right, we'll turn Penny's mic on. Miss Enthusiasm and Angst over there. All right, we are having, it's a Saturday night, right?
Yep. Saturday night at 6:00 with a big Easter egg hunt for the family afterwards.
Nice.
And then Sunday morning, we're having 8:30 early risers service, just like Jesus rose. So should you. And then we're going to have a 10 and 11:15.
No.
That was good. I thought that was good. Off the riff. That just came out of my mouth. And
fix that post. That's rough.
And so 10 and 11:15. So four options for you to choose for your family.
All right. And if, you're a regular Journey attendee, you might take a look at that 11:15. Just do a solid.
Or the Saturday night.
Hey, Saturday, come out there too. See some egg free for all going on, weather pending, and whatever happens, we'll have a great Easter, I'm sure. So, thanks for listening, and I guess we'll see you next time.